I am fired up for this one. No words. Have you ever had a friend that likes the things you wear, likes the things you do, becomes almost obsessive with you that it gets to the point where it's uncomfortable? This story is that, but to the absolute worst level imaginable. Let's talk about it. This was in 1999. We're talking about Rachel Barber. This is in Melbourne, Australia. I think I'm saying Melbourne right. If I'm not, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Rachel grew up in a really loving household with her mom, dad, and two little sisters. She was a dancer and she loved it. She was awesome at it. It started off when they were younger and they would choreograph little dances to do for their parents. And then she ended up following that path and wanting to pursue it as a career. Got really good at it and was becoming kind of successful at that. Rachel was a stunning girl. She fell into the modeling world. She started doing ballet. She was very into fitness, very athletic girl. She eventually wanted to pursue her passion for dancing and make an actual profession out of it. She ended up asking her parents to leave normal high school and become a full-time student at the dance factory in Melbourne, Australia. Her parents agree, so she throws herself into this world of dancing and becomes really dedicated at it. March 1st, 1999, it was a normal day. She got up, started getting ready, got dressed, got her backpack on, doing her usual morning routine. Usually she would take a train to a friend's house and then from there they would ride to the dance academy together. Rachel was very wary of public transportation. She was also scared of the dark, so every time to and from the train station, her parents would give her a ride. Rachel gets dropped off around 9:30 in the morning. At 6:15, her dad is going to pick her up back at that same train station. She gets to the dance academy around 10:15. She's really excited that day. She's telling her friends all about how she has received this really cool opportunity that she's going to get paid for, but she can't say what it is. She wasn't allowed to give many details. All she could say was that she was meeting an old friend for a really big opportunity that she was going to get paid for, so she was looking forward to that night. Dance ends around 5:30. She meets up with her boyfriend Manny, and they start walking towards the train station together. They eventually go their separate ways because she's going to take a different train that she usually does. Her dad goes to pick up Rachel at the train station around 6:15. They usually got back home at 6:30, 6:45 for the latest, so the mom and the two little sisters are waiting back at home. It's around 7:15. They're not home yet. 7:30, 7:40 comes around and the mom is now concerned. The dad calls the mom back at home, lets her know that Rachel never showed up to the train station and is asking if maybe she just came home, but the mom says no. So now they're both concerned. They call the police department to let them know their daughter didn't come home. Police just basically disregarded it. They said the same thing they say in a lot of these cases, that teenagers run away all the time and that she's probably going to come home later. Rachel's mom calls the boyfriend Manny asking if he knows anywhere about where she might be. Manny tells her that that day she was talking about this cool opportunity she had, how she was going to meet up with an old friend, and Manny says maybe they're together. With that information, Rachel's parents start calling all of her friends asking if they know anything about where she is, but nobody does. The next morning, they go back to the police station to officially file a missing persons report, and the cops just kind of disregard it. They're just not interested. They say she's a teenager, this is normal behavior. Even though the parents are saying no, she would never do this, they just seemed like they didn't care. Meanwhile, last night, as well as this next morning, her parents are starting to retrace all of her steps, going to the dance studio, showing pictures of her to people, asking if they know anything, go to different train stations, go to different shops, trying to get any sort of lead that would let them know where she had gone. Volunteers are involved, staff from the dance academy are involved, friends and family are just walking around, calling different hospitals, seeing if there's any sign of her at all, kind of just conducting their own little search. They try and get phone call records, calling different businesses. Businesses are now helping more than the cops are, which is crazy. End up going to a different police station because the first one wasn't doing anything, and that police station tells them that they can't officially file a missing persons report because they already did that with the last one. So just out of luck, which is so crazy. Their daughter is missing. So the police, in my opinion, are just not taking the family seriously. They tell them that they're going to start questioning people at the dance academy. They don't. They're giving them sort of false promises, but at the same time not caring a lot, because they tell the family to maybe go look for her here, go look for her there, but like they don't want to go look for her. I don't know. I'm stressed. She was last seen March 1st. March 4th, the police finally decide to question Manny, her boyfriend, and they say, oh, Rachel probably got pregnant and she ran away, right? Like, that's why she's hiding. And Manny's like, literally, no, what are you talking about? The cops actually tell Rachel's parents, Rachel is gone, she ran away. You should just get therapy and focus on your other two daughters for now. Of course, they're not going to do that, so they take matters into their own hands, trying to lead their own investigation, trying to get tips and leads that hopefully lead somewhere. They end up getting some sort of tip they take to the police on March 6th. The cops are like, we've already given you a bunch of our effort, so we don't have any more effort to give. The mom goes bananas. I don't think I've ever said bananas before like that. The mom goes nuts and she cries. She's losing it because her daughter is lost and no one's looking for her. One of Rachel's friend's older sister, her name is Allison, she saw a missing persons flyer and she called in and said that she had actually seen Rachel at a train station about an hour after the dance class was over that day she went missing. She says she saw them at this train station and she was talking to a girl. They seemed really friendly. They were comfortable with each other, laughing. Allison says she overheard the conversation and Rachel and this girl were talking about some sort of money that Rachel was excited to get. Police are finally doing something helpful. They bring in Allison to describe this girl to try and see if they could come up with a sketch of what she might look like. They also finally agreed to let Rachel's family do a public appeal. So finally there's news coverage on this case and people are looking for Rachel. The next morning, the cops have this sketch of this girl that she was seen talking to and they show it to the parents. The parents are thinking of who this girl might be. They think of Caroline Reed Robertson, a 19-year-old girl that used to babysit for the family. Rachel's family and Caroline's family met 7 years prior. The families used to be neighbors and they had 3 daughters as well, so they kind of bonded over that. They lost touch when Rachel's family moved out of the neighborhood, so they hadn't talked in a while. Caroline was 6 years older than Rachel, so she was a little bit older, which is why she would babysit. The family remembers that 6th day after Rachel went missing, Caroline called the home phone and said, "I'm sorry you're going through this. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." That was what brought up Caroline's name to their mind because they remembered that she had called and they remember that she has an apartment in the location where Rachel was last seen. Rachel's mom also remembered that sometime last year, Caroline had called the family home to talk to Rachel to let them know about some sort of modeling job that Rachel could get paid for. With that information, she takes that to the police and the police start looking into Caroline. Again, she went missing March 1st. They're looking at phone records and they see that Caroline called Rachel February 28th. The first time they spoke for 15 minutes, the second time they spoke for almost 30 minutes. Now that Rachel's mom starts thinking back on it, she remembers when Caroline called and remembers Rachel being excited about some sort of opportunity. Authorities go to Caroline's place of work to question her, but she's not there. She actually has been sick since March 1st, which is the day Rachel went missing. Authorities go talk to Caroline's neighbors to see if they know anything, and someone says that March 2nd, they heard scream crying coming from Caroline's bedroom. Caroline's dad also said that he visited her apartment because she was sick, and she remembers that Caroline was keeping her door shut at all times. She wouldn't open it. Guys, now get this. March 3rd, Caroline has some people come to her apartment to help remove some items. She says she wants to get rid of this statue that is wrapped up in 2 rugs and stuffed in a duffel bag. The removal people take this statue, put the bag in the car, and transfer it to Caroline's father's farm that's around an hour away. March 12th, 1999, detectives go to Caroline's apartment to try and question her. They go up in the morning, but no one's answering the door, so they leave. They come back around 5:30 and break into the apartment. They find Caroline face down in her bedroom floor. She had had a seizure. She also had some sort of green hair dye in her hair. She's rushed to the hospital. Caroline's in the hospital, but some officers stay behind to search the apartment. They don't find much, but they do find notebooks. In these notebooks, and more additional evidence I'll get into, they find so much incriminating evidence showing that Caroline was trying to change her identity. They find the hair dye. They find plans for her to have plastic surgery, clothing in different sizes that don't fit her but fit Rachel. Most shocking of all, and this is literally giving me goosebumps just talking about it, they find an application for a birth certificate in Rachel Barber's name. Caroline Robertson had all these plans to take over Rachel Barber's life, steal her identity, and pretend to be her somewhere else. Back at the hospital, when she regains consciousness and comes back to it, they ask her about Rachel and she says, "Yeah, she's dead. I buried her." Caroline tells police that she killed Rachel in her apartment, kept her body there for 2 days, and then hired help to move her body to her father's farm, which was that statue. The police, of course, go to the father's farm. They dig up Rachel's body, and for the first time since her disappearance, they see her face. She is deceased, and she has a cord wrapped around her neck. It was ruled that she died the night she went missing on March 1st, and I'm pretty sure her autopsy was strangulation. Once Caroline was discharged, she was immediately taken into custody awaiting trial. The cops are looking into this. The more they dig into it, the more they find. Turns out Caroline was struggling a lot with her mental health. She was suffering from depression and she had deep-rooted self-esteem issues. She viewed herself so poorly, was so insecure, and hated herself. Caroline would often write letters to her father about how she was getting bullied and she needed help. She said she was a tortured, lost soul that needed someone to help her. So insecure in both her physical appearance as well as everything internal. Caroline was so envious and jealous of Rachel. She looked up to her so much. She thought that she was perfect. Investigators found journals in Caroline's apartment writing about this. She would describe Rachel as strikingly attractive with very clear pale skin and hypnotic green eyes. And then she would write about herself, describing herself as a pizza face with brown oily hair and no coordination, which is obviously very, very sad, and that sucks. That's horrible. But she became so incredibly obsessed with Rachel. She looked up to her that it turned dangerous. Obviously, she ended up killing her. She was trying to learn and memorize everything about Rachel, about her family, about her hobbies, everything she needed to know so that she could become her. What happened was that Caroline reached out to Rachel, told her about this opportunity that she was going to come over to her apartment and that she was going to participate in a psychological study. She told her not to tell anyone about the study or she would potentially ruin the results. Rachel came over. Caroline told her that they would start this study by doing some meditation. She told Rachel to think about things to make her happy. And when Rachel closed her eyes, she put a cord around her neck and strangled her. And we know all this information from Caroline, but also from her journal. She would write about it. She would write things such as, Rachel, toxic over her mouth, put body into army bags and disfigure and dump somewhere way out. Another note said, check farm, including bag, Tuesday arranged bank loan, moving van, night to disguise hair, thoroughly clean house, and steam clean carpet. I'm scared. March 13th, 1999, she's officially charged with the murder of Rachel Barber. November 29th, 2000, she shows up to court looking completely different. She had lost a lot of weight. She had completely different hair. She looked like an entirely different person. Some people think that while she was in prison, she was still putting in effort to look like Rachel and turn into Rachel. The judge in the case said that her actions of this premeditated murder were extremely disturbing and showed that she had a devious mind and manipulative abilities. Caroline was diagnosed with a personality disorder after the murder. The judge said she was a real danger to any who may become the unfortunate subject of her fixation, which I agree. In prison, her cellmates and anyone that talked to her said she never expressed any regret, any remorse for what she did. She was sentenced to 20 years, but she only spent 15 years in prison before she was released on parole in 2015. It's so horrible that I was reading into this and I could not believe what I was reading. Crazy. Let me know what you guys think. I love you so, so, so much. Kisses on the forehead for all of you.